Show's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Better late than never. Just saw an interesting shot, a live shot in San Antonio, Davie, arena shot. They were interviewing one of ESPN's NBA reporters, and the backdrop shot, the background shot, you just took a photo of it. I don't know if you sent it out via Twitter.
I sure have, yes.
Of our guy, Johnny Athletic, courtside, really first row of seats, looking kind of bored and disinterested next to Chris
tired.
Hine.
Yeah, he looks tired, doesn't he?
Yeah, I hope the Wolves aren't that tired tonight.
Johnny must have been up early for his flight. Yeah, I tweeted it out. Great to see John Krasinski and Chris Hine so hard at work in San Antonio. No sign of Dane Dumb Moore.
Oh, that's right.
At Dane Moore, NBA.
Yeah.
Don't see Jace Frederick there either. I wonder if he made the trip.
That's a good question.
That's why Johnny and Chris, they're out on the scene, boots on the ground, right?
That's very true, Davey.
So, anyway, yeah, Johnny looks tired.
He did. He looked a little, or maybe his dauber's down. Is he expecting the worst tonight? I haven't texted him. I'll text him and see. And I'll see if he has any inside dope on the Spurs injuries that we talked about earlier. Two good wing players, really great wing players, actually.
Yeah.
Both listed as questionable, which doesn't mean they're not playing,
right.
But can mean they're not playing.
Let's start there. Yeah, we might as well. De'Aaron Fox, right ankle soreness, is listed as questionable. That was on yesterday's injury report and continued today. Today, they added Dylan Harper with left knee soreness. He is also questionable for Game 5. If you're just joining us, we mentioned, I think, late last segment that typically the head coaches will be meeting the media in the next 30 to 45 minutes. The players are out there doing a lot of their individual stuff. In fact, that's what Johnny and Chris were probably watching. Anthony Edwards was on the court getting his pregame workout done, which includes left-handed three-pointers. When he makes like 80% of them because he's Ant. Why wouldn't he? So we should maybe get a little bit more definitive news on those two guards for the San Antonio Spurs. Davey, De'Aaron Fox obviously had a good game the other night, as did Dylan Harper. They're both very good players, and they've been described as game-time decisions. Game 5, pivotal Game 5, at 7 o'clock tonight. Our pregame show right here on The Fan starts at 6:30. Victor Wembanyama will be in the lineup because he was not suspended for Game 5, which some people have a problem with.
Did he, this isn't so much a Wemby question as well, now I forgot what the question was. We're talking injuries. We don't have any added injuries other than we know DiVincenzo's not available. We know Edwards' his time has gone up with each game, and he seems no worse for the wear, other than a little bit winded a couple of times. This was my question. We started Conley the last game, correct? So I would assume we're going to start Conley again tonight, didn't we, or did we not? No, we started Ayo.
No, Ayo started He started the second half of Game 3.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he started Game 4.
Yeah. I had not perhaps taken as close a look on the replays of the Dosunmu miracle catch.
Yeah.
I did not realize that the ball had gone off of his foot. And that he saved it off of his foot. That ball was headed out of bounds otherwise, which would have been the worst case scenario because he touched it. So obviously that would have been a turnover at that point. But yeah, that's a play worthy of a wide receiver. There's no question about it.
If they win the series, that's one we talk about.
There's no question.
Forever.
It'll become more mythical if they find a way to actually steal the series. You're right.
So about an hour and 20 minutes from now, the pregame show with Alan Horton, Jim Peterson, Cal Soderquist, and cast of thousands, 6:30. And then the tip, Game 5 from San Antonio, is 7 o'clock. That series tied at 2. Wild are down 3-1 after a 5-2 loss last night at Grand Casino Arena. They led 1-0. They tied it late at 2-2. Colorado scored to make it 3-2 just a couple of minutes later, and then a couple of empty netters. And they head to Colorado now for not pivotal Game 5. Game 5, trying to stave off elimination. Here's Heinze.
Well, I think there was a lot of things that you just said there were the truth. I think we didn't play direct enough. But I think the style of game that we needed to play to win the game, we made the conscious choice not to play that way tonight. So, we'll readdress that, and then we'll get ready for Game 5.
Which is tomorrow. I should mention, by the way, Parker Fox and me later tonight, we are doing a Wolves Howlin' with the Homies post-game show. If people are interested, we had fun the other night. We're doing that again. But the Wild, Dan, could not get themselves to a 2-2 tie. Russo Radio said about 24 hours ago that if the Wild win, Game 4, he thinks they're winning the series. And with that, they get the bye to the Stanley Cup final, basically.
Right.
That's the allegation by what's going on the other side of things. But they did not get that victory, and apparently were not intentional about it.
No, that's what we were told by the head coach, Louis, coming up in about 20 minutes to get his reaction to a very disappointing Game 4. I'll be curious to see if Louis puts it more on we're playing a really good team, and they responded, or if he was disappointed with the approach, if he buys what the head coach, what Heinze said after the game. I tend to not get quite as hung up in the approach. I'll just say whatever the approach is that we decided to go with, it didn't feel like we attacked the game anywhere near as effectively as we did the previous game, right? Forget whether you're scoring. I'm just talking about, seizing the action, seizing the initiative. We didn't do that. And I would have thought it would be just the opposite, even with Colorado clearly wanting to play better after what they did in Game 3. And I thought maybe the problem for the Wild would be you're almost too buzzed, and you got to settle yourself down. But the most disappointing part to me was we didn't seem to, whether it's the same, not using the same style we used in Game 3, not playing as heavy, whatever you want to use. All I saw is they looked a lot busier than we did early in the game, and I thought that set the tone, even though, we tied it briefly, at least, even in the third period, right? We came back and it was 2-2. But let's be clear. I think it's fair to say that would have been a romp above and beyond the empty net goals, if not for the goaltending of Wallstedt, right? I believe through much of it,
he played really well.
He was the one keeping them even in position where they had a chance to stay in the game.
And their new guy made some big saves, too.
He did, yeah.
The Wild had some great opportunities. Yes. They were few and far between, but they had some great opportunities, and I thought he played well.
I agree totally.
So that Game 5 is tomorrow night. Derek Shelton and the Minnesota Twins, one night after being blamed for a lackluster Wild performance because of how they presented Let's Play Hockey, are back in action against the Miami Marlins. The Twins, Dan, just 3 games out of first place in the American League Central.
Are we still in last?
Yeah, there's 4 teams in front of them, but they are separated by only 3 games. Bailey Ober on the mound tonight at Target Field. Beautiful night for a game.
It is.
If you're not going to watch Wolves Spurs Game 5.
Also, Frost are scheduled to play in their Game 5 in Montreal tonight. It's still inexplicable to me that the game was not played last night. It's remind me to get to a couple of interesting texts I had on that. I hope I can find them, or if I saved them. If I didn't save them, that was a mistake. The explanations are very feeble on the decision to not play that game last night. What will be interesting is if Montreal wins tonight, it will be viewed as, among the conspiracy types, as tainted, right?
Totally.
No question.
We're definitely going to go with it.
It's moot if the Frost win, then it'll become moot anyway. It'll be almost, okay, well, you did what you could with some chicanery, but it didn't matter. But if it goes the other way, and this is the decisive game, this is the game that determines who moves on to the finals, then you're going to get an awful lot of that. The whole approach has been way too mysterious. It has, and that always contributes to what? Conspiracies and suspicion that you were just sort of trying to protect one team or even protect your product in its relative infancy, and that's a bad look. It would not happen in any other sport.
FanAtBigDeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. Final keyword of the evening is grand. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword grand.
Back in a minute.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Newgate School.
Welcome some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. The legendary Bob Dylan will be there July 6th. Motley Crue on August 21st, and Santana and the Doobie Brothers on August 27th. Get the complete details on all the shows on the concert page. KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, and then my iPad was out of juice. So I had to reestablish the juice there. And the cord's not long enough to come up to the console here.
Yep.
I got the microphone going, so we'll get to the text line in just a minute. If you have text for Louie, we'll definitely get the system back in order by the time we get to the bottom of the hour. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. By the way, this late report from Johnny Athletic via text, he notes that Harper was just out warming up and he thought he was good to go. There's been nothing official, but he didn't see anything in the workout to indicate that he was not going to be able to go. Said he was unsure on Fox, but he also thinks Harper's been better than Fox. I know you've always loved Fox. He hasn't always shot well in this series, but he's a shot maker, and he's still, to me, he's still dangerous. As I said, there are people who already think that Harper is their second best player, which is a little scary. But I think if even one of them is out, that's to the Wolves' advantage, even if Fox has not been perhaps as great as he often can, as good as he can be. Yep. I still think he's a little on the dangerous side. So from my standpoint, it's a game of numbers with them, and they come at you with so many good wing people.
They do.
If you have one less, now on the other hand, if you say, well, no, then all it means is that Harper's going to play more, and if he's playing really well, that actually hurts the Wolves compared to Fox. I don't know. We can overthink it. Johnny gives me no indication that we will go with the goon strategy tonight. I'm not surprised. There's not going to be a designated enforcer who goes out there.
What if it was Mike Conley getting his first career technical foul?
Well, the funniest thing is to watch the replay of Conley's reaction to the elbow, where he looked like, hey, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
Which I thought that would be remarkable if he finally got a technical. I, frankly, am curious to see what kind of game Nas just has in general. And, so where he fits in this thing, I don't think he's an enforcer kind of a player.
No.
But I don't think, as I said, the message to me that has to be conveyed from the coaches is, let's not be stupid. Let's not listen to Day. We want to win the game and we want to win the series. But you also can't anticipate, be real careful on how you guard them because they're going to be probably calling it closer. I don't think you can approach the game that way. You may have to adjust. And I don't think any of the officials named, I'm not sure how much of a rep. The names, I can't remember who's officiating. It's already been determined. They're not, I don't think, any of our usual arch enemies that we assume are against us. But I don't know what the reputation is of the three in terms of how closely the game is called. Because I honestly do believe in this series that it works to the Wolves' advantage if refs let more stuff go, 100%. And more generally, beyond just the nonsense, I'm just curious to see how Naz Reid plays in this game as the guy who took the hit.
Yeah, he played well after.
I thought he did. Yeah,
and he big offensive rebound, good pass.
What was the order? Was the ankle injury first and then the throat? He limped off once.
Right.
Wasn't that the same game?
Yeah, I think that was after.
You think the ankle was after? Because he left for a while. If you recall, he went to the locker room.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that was after.
And then came back. So, he did the Warrior routine pretty good.
John
kept coming back.
Is it Goebel? Yeah. Ben Taylor, Carl Lane are your officials.
See, those names don't mean anything to me.
Neither.
They might mean something to NBA veterans like Johnny. I'm not sure. But I agree with Double T that tonight the challenge is to not get behind 20-5. And I would say at any point, you can't. I worry that once it gets to 15 or 20 in this game, then it's going to end up being bloody again, like it was in Game 2. So I think you got to stay within reason. You got to hang. And it's the classic, the longer the game goes on, the more maybe you gain some confidence and the more doubt is put in their head. It's got to be, I don't think it's the kind of game, I know against Denver in Game 7 a couple years ago, we did that. We were down 19, we came back and you were there, and we won the damn thing. Yep. I don't think we can count on that at all. I think it's a dangerous way to play. I think you got to stay with them and pretty much throughout. And we've had 2 terrible starts, right? The 2 home games, we had 2 terrible starts, correct? The last 2.
3 was way worse than 4.
Absolutely, yeah. But they neither one of them was very encouraging.
No.
And I don't think you can keep doing that, I guess what I'm saying, particularly on the road, even if it's just, we'll get back to it. It's a long game and all that. I don't think you want to get into that kind of thing where we're playing catch-up the whole way and expending that kind of energy. Makes it harder for the coach to make decisions on giving people proper rest, all that kind of good stuff. So just stay with them. And it doesn't mean you have to be ahead the whole game, but just stay with them and have a chance in the fourth quarter.
And don't be annoyed that Wemby is playing tonight. I could see us doing that too. Like saying all the right things, that we knew he wasn't going to be suspended. We planned for him to not be suspended, but then get out there and let the fact that he didn't get suspended, if he has a couple of blocks early or you get called for a couple of fouls early.
You can't wallow in that.
You can't. That's why with the whole how's Nas going to play, I hope Nas plays with a clear mind because he doesn't need anything else in there, right?
No.
When he's frustrated about stuff,
he gets distracted enough.
He gets very easily distracted. A lot of guys do. That's why this team has been such a roller coaster throughout the regular season. But that's the thing to watch early is how are they going to call the first time you put a forearm in Wemby's back that they maybe haven't called for the first 4 games? And how do you respond to that? Because they're going to, I just have a feeling they're going to. And if they don't, the crowd in San Antonio Davie is going to be all over the officials there, and then human nature creeps in. So don't let that Wemby part of it put you in a bad headspace either.
Are you encouraged at all that the spread has moved in our direction by 2 points?
Has it?
Yeah. Now, some of that might be, well, that's too many points.
Right.
And people, I'll take some of that money. I don't know.
So it's 8.5 now?
I've seen 9.5 from 11.5.
Okay.
But there are others where it might be 8.5. I'm not sure. I do not expect them to get blown out tonight. I don't think it's going to be like Game 2. I will be very surprised if it is. And I know that there's also a chance that Wemby goes off. There's no doubt. But you cannot. The one thing you can't play is timid against them. You almost have to test the refs. And I don't mean by hitting him cheaply. I just mean by being physical with him, by knocking him around a bit, by trying to get him off of his space, given how slender he is. I think that's not any kind of – there's nothing dirty about that. That's part of what you have to do. Now, if it turns out they're overreacting, the refs, and they're calling everything, you have to adjust to it at some point because you can't foul everybody out. But I think you have to play that out honestly and say, we're not really apologizing for anything that we have done to this point. So we'll have to see. A lot of good Louis texts already coming in. So let's stay on schedule. We'll pause here, and we'll talk puck. We'll get Louis' reaction to a disappointing Game 4 for the Wild. They now find themselves down 3-1, heading back to Denver for a game tomorrow night, which you can hear on the Fan. We'll chat with Louis next.
Off the Rudy screen and pops on a 3 and sticks in.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Lou Nanne?
Brought to you by his good friends at Kemp's. As always, Louis joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Louis, what happened in Game 4?
Dan, I've been trying to analyze this. Why are sports hazardous to your health?
Well,
I mean, really.
Very well said.
Stop and think about it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure this out. Why do we care? Why do we get so involved? Why do
we invest
individuals so much?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to find out why I get so upset or frustrated. Why should I feel this way? We just didn't play the type of game we should have been playing. We forgot that you need the puck to win the game.
Good point.
You take a look at some of the parts, especially in the second period and parts of the third, where we just didn't get the puck. They were in the wild zone for extended periods of time. We weren't getting turnovers. We weren't winning the puck battles along the boards. Our gaps coming through the neutral zone were not good. They were turning our defensemen sometime with speed coming in the zone. And the odd part about it was that was the game the Wild really should have won the way Wallstead played that game.
Yep.
You're thinking, all we need is a couple chances. Their goalie did play well when we did get some chances, but we should have had far more chances. We should have been handling and keeping the puck like they did. If you look at puck possession time in that game, I don't have any stat sheets. I don't look at it, but all you need is the eye test. Just look at the game and and think, are we ever going to have that puck?
100%. Very well said. We were talking at the start of the program about the comments from Heinze after the game, and I've covered and listened to and paid attention to and watched a lot of playoff series in several sports. And I've heard coaches after losses rip their team, praise their team, encourage their team, a lot of different strategies. I'm not sure I ever remember hearing the comments that came out of Heinze's mouth last night. His direct quote was, "I think the style of game that we needed to play to win the game, we made the conscious choice not to play that way tonight." It sounds so odd when he puts it that way. What do you think he means?
Well, there's no doubt he means that they didn't play the way they played the game before, as far as checking, forechecking, winning battles and keeping the puck. It's more like we weren't as focused or direct on our checking as we should have been, and we started maybe playing too cute. One of the things I'm sure he's referring to is how many times the Wild turned the puck over at the opposition blue line rather than getting in deep. They'd have turnovers, a transition coming the other way. The worst was to watch the power play. I finally just got up and started walking around the room screaming. You couldn't get the puck in the zone.
Yeah.
Please, just throw it in there and go get it if you can't get it in. But when we were looking at that game and you're seeing how many rushes, I think it was a minute. I think it was a minute and 52 seconds, and essentially on one power play, we had no puck control in their zone. We had so many turnovers at the blue line and dump backs, and actually they'd come down and throw the puck down and forecheck and kill some seconds and even come up with a puck every now and then. It just, for some reason, it was so different from the game before. And like I said, and you say, why do I care? Why do I get so frustrated? Why do I feel this way? It's a game. It's their game, not our game.
Yeah.
But you get so involved in it and frustrated with the way you see the game before, and then you see the way there were long stretches of time during that second period, and in the third after it got tied up, where you're expecting a big comeback and it doesn't happen.
Well, the part that I thought was different, he said conscious choice, almost as if he was suggesting that his players deliberately decided, no, we don't care how we won Game 3. We're going to win this game a different way. That's what sounded so odd to me, so unusual.
Well, it is odd, and I don't, whether he said that or not, I'm sure they didn't mean it. It's like saying, well, we know how we were supposed to play. You played a different way, and it's conscious choice. But a lot of times, when you're playing a game, you don't realize you're playing it differently than you played before.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's by being overhyped, being so excited. I'm sure they came out last night with a feeling that they're going to duplicate the kind of game they had the game before, not knowing that they were getting away from the style that they played the game before. But they definitely weren't doing it consciously. They want to win as much or more than anybody else. But it didn't happen.
Peace and Love Guy writes, will you please ask Mr. Nanne why in this last game the Avs players always seem to be in the wild zone collecting the wild outlet clearing attempts? Were they more aggressive in putting more players in the wild defensive zone? Did they know the wild game plan and outsmart them? That's from Peace and Love Guy.
Yeah, I don't think they outsmarted them. You know how the team's going to play. It's just that they were winning the battles on the boards. The passing of the Wild was not good, and if you make bad passes in your own zone, you're just off a little bit. You're turning over pucks in your own zone, and there are constant. I can't tell you how many turnovers were happening in that zone. If you look at the lines, the third and fourth line, so-called third and fourth line of the Wild, were the most effective line because they were winning battles all over the ice, and they were, they were given a spark every now and then because they were forechecking properly, coming up with pucks. They were taking the body back there. It was the first and second line that seemed to be too cute, not getting pucks out. Definitely when they've always been able to do it, not getting in the zone when they've been able to do it, not getting opportunities when they get in the zone like they would. It was just one of those games where you say it's nothing is going right for them. It's just not happening.
Unfortunately true. A lot of good texts are coming in. How about this one? This is from Mark. Louis, I believe the turning point of the game was when Trenyon closed his hand on the puck, which was avoidable. Once they scored that power play goal, they got the momentum they were looking for.
That was a big point, and that was I could not believe that happened. From when you're a little kid, you could not close your hand on the puck, and not only just close your hand, but now it looked like he was almost having a game. He was going to throw it one way, throw it another way. He still had the puck, and then drop behind. That was really a surprise to me. I have no idea what he could have been thinking at that time. And every time you give him a power play, you're giving opportunities for them to get into their game, and that was big. That was a major point in the game.
Okay, so the fact is they're down 3-1. They can't wallow in it. It's a difficult road. No. It's a very difficult road now for all the obvious reasons. What's the approach? I mean, I know it's always one game. You can't think of winning 3 because you can't win 3 until you win 1. But what's the answer? What gives the Wild the best chance to carry this thing forward a little bit?
I think the fact that they did not play very well this last game. I'm expecting them to play a real good game tomorrow night. I think they're going to come out and give a terrific effort tomorrow. I don't know how the game's going to end up. But I do really believe they have a chance to win tomorrow night, because I don't see them wallowing in their misery of losing that game last night. I think this is really a determined group of guys, and they play like a determined group of guys. I expect them, and the leadership's going to come from Foligno brothers for sure, and McCarron, because they're going to start that game out bashing bodies around, and I just think that I think they're going to give a real good account of themselves tomorrow night.
Well, obviously there's no margin for error at this point. That part's for sure. How much of this, when a game turns the way the dramatic differences between games 3 and 4. How much of this, in our myopia for paying attention to the Wild side of it, how much of this has to do with the fact, again, that they're good. They're a very good team, and so they might have something to do with the fact that the Wild didn't play the same way they did in Game 3.
They had a lot to do with that. That's great. What you said is just exactly what happened. They came out and they were going to show that they were a terrific team, and you could see it in the way they were handling the puck and the plays they were making. They were playing with a confident air throughout the whole game. Even when it got close, they maintained their confidence with the puck, skating with the puck, getting in proper positions. They played like a team is supposed supposed to play. They played like the best team that in the league is supposed to play. You could take some stuff away from the Wild, say they didn't do this and that, but a big reason is because Colorado wasn't letting them have the puck. Colorado was moving continually. They were getting in open spots. They were creating opportunities for themselves by making the right plays. And they were sharp passing the puck. They were quick getting it out of the zone. A lot of what happened to the Wild, you'd say they didn't play. They played consciously the wrong way. It's because Colorado made them play that way a lot of times. They defended so well that they didn't give the Wild opportunity to have the puck control that they had in the Wild zone.
Is it, a lot of what we talked about after Game 3, well, even going into the Game 3, was the Wild need to play, heavier. And I think you defined in your mind what that means in terms of the right kind of checking and physicality. Not checking for the sake of checking, but strategic checking that contributes to victory. So using that, I mean, did we not play, quote-unquote, as heavy in Game 4? Did that have much to do with it?
Well, the third and fourth line certainly did. That's why they had the kind of success they were having during the game. If you were to grade the lines there, the third and fourth lines were better than the first and second line.
That's fair.
The second line with, Boldy, Johansson, and Urov was the weakest line because of how many times they turned the puck over. And not only that, didn't get out of the zone when they had pucks to get out of the zone, and didn't get opportunities in the zone because they made some bad passes. And you want to play a heavy game, but if you're going to play a heavy game, you got to get to the guy to play the heavy game. And Colorado was moving that puck so quickly most of the time that even though the Wild were taking bodies when they had the chance, many times they didn't get the chance to get to the body because the puck was gone so fast.
What is your philosophy on, I think you can speak to this even though the sport is basketball. So, as you know, in the previous game, Wembanyama gets ejected for a vicious elbow shot to Naz Reid. It's a clinical, it's a textbook, ejection. There's no question about that. It's a flagrant 2. That was, I think, the easy decision. It had to be made. There was no further suspension. There was no fine. But there's the question of what does the team that's victimized by that kind of cheap shot, what is it obligated to do in order to sort of keep, its pride, so to speak? This is what we're told all the time. Draymond Green has already said, well, what the Wolves have to do is they got to hit Wemby with an elbow in this game, same way, because you have to stand up for yourself. Now, in hockey, there's a whole etiquette on this stuff, and you and I have talked about it over the years. But how do you thread the needle, Louie, on making your point physically that you're not backing down and not losing your composure to a point that you win that battle but have a better chance of losing the war, as in losing the game? Well,
I think Draymond Green should have watched McCarron play, because McCarron took a bad butt end to the face, which that was a brutal non-call. Manson should have been out of the game. That should have been a 5-minute game misconduct, and they used the thing that they weren't sure that he hit him with. Where do you think that butt end went? I mean, that was ludicrous, and a lot of people are making fun of it on Twitter right now that they didn't make the call. But McCarron didn't let that stop him, and he didn't go play stupid. But he was physical when he got the opportunity to be physical, but he was physical in a clean way. For Green to say, well, he got to give an elbow or something. Hey, you always remember that the prize is winning. You can't even afford a little penalty or a little, extra foul just to get pride. In the playoffs, we always used to say, just get a number, remember for next season.
Exactly.
You don't try and extract a pound of flesh during a playoff game. It's never worth it. Never worth it. You have to accept whatever you get, whether it's a cheap shot or a good shot, whatever it is. You have to play to win. And the only way you play to win is by maintaining your focus on doing the proper things to win. And the proper things are making sure you don't get needless penalties, stupid penalties that are going to cost you, or even take yourself out of position by taking an extra run at a guy when he's already gone, the puck's gone, and you might get caught. The end game is winning the game, and that means you sacrifice whatever you have to sacrifice to win the game.
It's such an important distinction, and I think human nature being what it is, sometimes it's hard for some players to understand that in the heat of that emotion and this notion of you're not going to get me. I think, that's what separates the brainiest players from those who don't always succeed in that situation.
I agree with that, but I want to point out that hockey has really somehow got that message through to the majority of the players. I want to say 95% of the players. You look at the hockey playoffs right now and look at the shots that guys are taking, and just remember, during the regular season, what do you got to fight every 2 games or something? And we haven't seen any fights in the whole playoffs. Guys take it. They know they can't do that. They know that the most important thing is not penalizing your team by your selfishness, by trying to get even with a guy or hit a guy or, illegally when you shouldn't be doing that. Players are really getting so conditioned to accepting whatever they get and not reacting the way that they would during a regular season.
Yeah, that's true. There is less of it, I think, than there once was. That's for certain. In terms of the goaltending, is it fair to say that without Wallstedt playing as well as he did, it wouldn't have even been as close as it was, and it wasn't all that close in the end?
Wallstedt did make a difference to the score, that's for sure. He easily had a number of way more chances to stop than Colorado's goaltender, and quality stops too. I mean, you were almost 19 minutes without a shot.
Right, that's a long time.
That's unheard of, and especially during that period of time, you had some power plays. You think you're going to get a shot. I know there was one power play. Not only did they not get a shot, I don't think they got an attempt at a shot, which was something. That's where the Wild got to be much more effective than they were, and they got to win the draws at those times. They were good winning draws, a lot of times through the game, but they did lose someone on the power play when right away knocks 20-25 seconds off. By getting the puck down the ice, you got to go back and bring it back up. And when that happened, a few of those times you weren't even able to get in the zone.
What do you make? I don't know how closely you've been following this story, but the Frost were supposed to play Montreal yesterday in the decisive Game 5 of their best-of-5 series. The game gets postponed till tonight, allegedly because there are too many ill players on the Montreal side, and there was a feeling that there was like a health decision made that they didn't want to expose, I guess, players on the other team to, I think it's basically some kind of intestinal flu, right? It's not COVID. It's not the hantavirus. It's just a sort of bad intestinal stuff. I, thought yesterday, and I've heard nothing to change my view on this, that they had to play the game yesterday, that it's unfortunate for Montreal, but if you have enough players, and a couple of the reporters indicated their best players probably wouldn't have been available, but they did have enough players, that you got to play the game. I just don't think there's much precedent for making that decision and playing the game tonight. Do you know anything about it, or what do you make of it?
Well, I know one thing. I've never heard of that happening before without something being really a crucial type of...
Right.
Maybe a contagious type of sickness, and that's why I was very surprised at it. But the one thing you look at, the women's games are being affected by the schedule, of course.
That's true.
And being able to get in buildings.
Yes.
They've been a little, not lax, but they've been a little more flexible when they've had to play their games and when they're going to play them both. they had the same thing happen in Montreal this past weekend. My grandson Vinny's team was playing Laval in the fifth and deciding game in Quebec, in Montreal. And Montreal is supposed to, going to play Saturday night, so they postponed the game that Laval was playing, made them play Sunday afternoon, and just because they didn't want to have competition between their farm team and them. Not that they wouldn't have sold the tickets,
right?
But they wanted them both to get the exposure. So the minors and the women's, maybe they got more flexibility to move than the NHL teams.
Well, my hope is we'll have another chance to talk Sunday, that this thing will still be moving, and the Wild will find a way to make it interesting. We'll know more about that after tomorrow night, right?
Well, I'm keeping. I'm getting this funny feeling. I'm getting some confidence here. I'm thinking that they're going to come out with a real good effort. I don't know whether they win or not, but I think that I really like this team. This is the best team the Wild's ever had, and they're so much fun to watch. And you hate to see them, go down on the type of effort that they're not accustomed to.
Thank you, Luigi. Great stuff as always. We will chat maybe Sunday.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.
Lou Nanne helping us out. Brought to you by, as usual, Kemp's. Have a chance for some texts in our final half hour related really to what took place last night at the arena formerly known as the X and what you might expect tonight in San Antonio. Davie, Wolves, Spurs, game number 5, with a chance for the Wolves to, I think, really shock the NBA world if they could steal another game there and come back here with a chance to knock out the Spurs under very unlikely circumstances. So any thoughts on either of those? What took place last night on the hockey side? What might take place tonight on the hoop side? Let us know. We got some texts on Jack Douglas, the former John Lennon record producer that we owed earlier in the show. He has passed away, former guest of the Bumper to Bumper show. We may explore some of those as well. Back in just a minute here in the Fan.
This is higher. You can get expert insight each week from the Athletics. John Krasinski with Dan Barrero all postseason. It's all brought to you by RBC Wealth Management.
Thursday is National Football League official schedule release, correct? There are already some games that have been leaked. Have any of the games involving our club yet been leaked?
I don't believe so.
Well, are you familiar with Bonesaw?
No.
Bonesaw's got our schedule.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you.
Okay.
And then we're going to check to see how accurate Bonesaw ends up being. Maybe Bonesaw will have the best sources ever, and we'll give him proper credit for being way ahead of it.
Is Bonesaw another one of Mark Rosen's cats? Because he might have some insight, too.
Some insight, yeah.
Not sure. Or maybe he knows Mark Rosen's cat.
Are you ready? I don't even know. I guess the test is I don't even know what divisions we play, if it makes sense that we're playing these teams at all. But here's what Bonesaw has. We open against the Carolina Panthers, and then we're at New Orleans to take on the Saints. Then we're at Green Bay for Thursday Night Football. Then we've got the Bills. Then we're at Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football. Then we got the Commanders at Bears, host the Packers, at Jets, Dolphins, Colts, and we play the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Which would obviously be there.
Yeah.
At Patriots, a bye in Week 15. Then at San Francisco, and then we host the Lions on Monday Night Football, and we finish with the Falcons and the Bears at home. Now, do we know? We know who we're playing, right?
And that all checks out. I think so.
So that's the Bonesaw schedule. We'll find out if he...
Did you say the Bills?
Broke the internet. Yeah, he has us playing the Bills week 1, 2, 3, 4. We host the Bills.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you have it. Bonesaw. We'll find out if that's an alias for somebody who's got inside information. But Thursday's the official night, right? Thursday night?
I think that's right.
And usually Thursday day, there's some leakage. And there's already been leakage. I think the first game of the season, which bores me, is a Thursday night game between the Cowboys and the Giants.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's just so hideous. It's so predictable. But I believe that one has been leaked already. But
yeah, they announced those. Like the big, they go on the Today Show or they go on whatever, and they announce all of them. Yeah.
So
interesting
early. Yeah. So we got Thanksgiving against the Lions there, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Sunday night game against the Bucks there.
God, that'd be funny if that's the whole schedule.
I know. A Monday night game against the Lions late.
They are so tight about it now, the league.
Yeah.
They hate these leaks, but the leaks happen all the time.
I wonder who Bonesaw really is.
Well, save his number.
Is it...
do some searching. Do some sleuthing.
Well, it's area code 425. Where is that?
425.
And that could be a burner, though.
That's true. If he's a good source,
yeah, if he's a good source, it might be a burner.
Yeah.
Very possibly it's a burner. I don't know for sure. But I always am intrigued by it because we get these every year a couple days early. And I will say, like, if you go on the internet, even on relatively respectable sites, there are people offering predictions of the schedule. They don't even say we got inside information. We're just going to have fun with it and predict it.
Yep.
Now, is Bonesaw doing that, or does Bonesaw have some source, some impeccable source in New York?
It'd be a heck of a story because the 425 area code is basically Seattle. It's the northern and eastern suburbs of Seattle.
Maybe it's Tice. No, I think Tice moved again. Although his phone could still be that number.
Yeah, Tice is in Vegas, isn't he?
Vegas, I think he's in Vegas now, yeah. That's true.
We need to circle back with Tice's kid, Nate.
Well, yeah, you've tried, and it's just easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah, this might be a slow time. Yeah. He's a Wolves fan, too. It's more to talk about the Wolves.
Is he a big Wolves root?
Huge, because he grew up here.
Yeah, that's true.
He's one of us.
That's very true, Davey. You're right about that. Let me check.
It is stupid how much you know this, that I love the schedule release day.
It's hard not to be intoxicated by it. Even I grant you, it's the only league that can do that, right?
Yes. I mean, I like all the schedules. Like, I wait for the Timberwolves schedule. I don't know why, again, because I just like having things to look forward to, I guess. I always look for, the Gopher basketball schedules. They had like a Big Ten opponent release thing today. The Big Ten did for the men on who your double plays are and where your home and roads are going. They don't have it for the women yet, so I don't know where I'm going, but I love that.
Dan Minnesota, hold on a second. He's got a schedule leak. He has learned that the Purple will play Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit twice each this season. Well, that's nice, but you ain't threatening Bonesaw's position right now when it comes to schedule leaks.
The stories a stadium can
He's
tell.
gotten a lot more specific. So we got to hold on. I took a picture of it, so we'll hold on to that and see how accurate that ends up being.
That's great. We may just give it.
I hope it's like right on the money. It would crack me up.
I do too now, yeah. On Thursday night on the Fan. No, not on the Fan. Is it on the Fan? Abbott's going to be mad. I can't remember. I think it's on the Fan. I know it's on something, on one of our verticals.
Well, aren't we doing a show?
Yes, on one of our platforms.
Oh, but it's not on the Fan? In the past, it's been on the Fan. It's usually been Nordo. Hasn't it been Nordo and Sauce usually after us doing a schedule show?
But this year, it's going to be the voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen, with Pete Bursich and Ben Lieber. It's the triumvirate. It's the Vikings audio network broadcast team.
Well, Brad, to that end, Brad from Mendota Heights writes, KFAN has been playing an ad all day for the schedule reveal show, 7 p.m. Thursday night.
There it is.
Hosted by Paul, Pete, and Ben.
There you go.
And he
shows
says,
how much I listen.
Now I don't have to listen.
We just did it. Sorry, PA.
We didn't analyze it. I'll grant you that point. I haven't sat there to look at, okay, what's the easy part? What's the soft part? Well, let's look at it again, just for kicks. We might as well.
You should have done a boom. You should have done a boom before the schedule
Panthers, release. They're not. Well, I can't remember. Were they up and coming? They were a little better this last year, weren't they?
Yeah, they won
their
a few
QB.
Games. Yeah, Bryce Young. Yeah.
At Saint, we should be 2-0. Panthers here at Saint should be 2-0. At Green Bay, 2-1. I don't want to do that game. Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
3-2.
And that's at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Then the Commanders, then the Bears, then the Where's the easy part? At Jets.
The first two.
Week 9 at Jets. Week 10 Dolphins. Week 11 Colts. That could be a stretch to get
nice
to get
little
healthy.
Stretch. Yep.
And then at Lions on Thanksgiving. At Patriots. This doesn't seem that easy. Well, that's why we blew it winning those games late.
I think that stretch you just mentioned, the Patriots, the Lions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not convinced on the Lions.
Oh, you're not? You've turned on them?
I haven't turned on them, but they're not the Lions of 2-3 years ago.
Jets, Dolphins, Colts, Lions.
There's
Patriots,
your stretch.
We got to the Super Bowl last year, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
You're not buying it?
Their schedule's harder now, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at 49ers and Lions, Then we finish with the Falcons and the Bears. And I don't even know what the Bears are going to be. It's very difficult to say at this point. Do we have
J.J. McCarthy's going to be ready to go for that 5-game stretch after Kyler Murray gets hurt.
We'll probably get back to it once we get through our winter sports teams here, however long they stay in it. And it may not be that much longer in either case. It could come to a screeching halt quickly. Unfortunately, that's the way it works in the postseason. It can be a very abrupt finish.
It's true.
But they're still in it. To two different degrees, I think. But I keep reading, and I think it was .com Tom, among others, basically saying the plan from the organization is absolutely killer quarterback competition in training camp, and that nothing has been decided. I don't know if I can believe it. I would prefer it. I really would. I don't think, despite the fact he's been a starter for 7 years, I think, that the new guy from Arizona, what's his name? Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray.
Is so untouchable that, well, if you bring him in, you have to, you've got to have the job. I never thought he had that much leverage, to tell you the truth. Where you say you want to come and compete for the job, fine. I would prefer it. An old-fashioned, how long has it been since we've had a good old-fashioned training camp quarterback competition that's wide open? What's wrong with that? We love it at other positions. Why can't, and think how much fun that would be when we're at the training camp perch.
Yeah, but see,
a daily battle.
I look at it differently, though. I think you only have a quarterback competition if you don't really have a quarterback. Most teams know who their starter is.
Well, we don't know that
we
have a quarterback. That's the truth of it.
I understand,
but maybe this brings out maybe JJ, he just puts his foot down and plants his feet and works his ass off and comes back and you don't even recognize him.
I think
he doesn't even recognize 9.
I think that's what they're hoping for.
That probably is.
I think that's why they're hoping for that. But most teams that are good don't have to do that. That's the problem.
You're right about that. All right, let's get to wrapping up the program. A couple final injury reports out of San Antonio, Davey, and maybe some final thoughts on the Wolves Game 5 tonight, and more tragedy in the sports world as well, which we've not explored. We'll give you details, too, when we come back.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan.
Thank you, Double T, who joined us at 4:02 today, and Luigi at 5:30. So we got a basketball playoff fix and a hockey fix as well from Luigi, although Luigi even got in on the Wemby discussion when I gave him the opportunity to do so, and I think he subscribes to our philosophy, which is don't worry so much about winning the macho pride battle of firing back. Fire back by winning. And if you can, along the way, be physical with the player that was over the line with your player, yeah, I get that. That's all, I think, fair in love and war, that kind of thing. So we appreciate their contributions as always. The sad news breaking on the NBA front that Brandon Clark has died at the age of 29 years old, pronounced dead shortly after 5 p.m. Monday. He is, of course, a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. His death is being investigated as a potential overdose, according to a Los Angeles news station. For the record, he had been arrested last month for speeding and drug possession in Arkansas. Not a lot of other details on this particular tragedy. A 6'7" veteran forward. He played his entire career in Memphis. He suffered a season-ending injury during a game in December after sustaining a right calf strain. So very sad news there. And additionally, Jason Collins,
saw that,
the first openly gay NBA player, has died of brain cancer at the age of 47 years old. His family said earlier today he had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, one of the deadliest forms of brain cancer. Had even tried some experimental treatments in Singapore this past winter that were not yet authorized in the United States. It did allow him to return home. He attended NBA All-Star Weekend events in Los Angeles and a game at his alma mater at Stanford, according to Ramona Shelbourne via ESPN.com. But horrible news there. He retired in 2014 after a 13-year career that included stops with the Nets, Memphis, Minnesota. I don't remember him here. Do you? Do you have vague recollection of him?
Vague, yeah.
Atlanta, Boston, Washington to return to the Jets. to the Nets after they moved to Brooklyn. So very sad stories there. I don't have any new information on who's in and who's out for San Antonio, Davey, tonight. They've had 2 players listed as questionable today, and that's both De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper was brilliant in the last game here. If they'd have stolen the game, he'd have been largely the reason why. He had 24 points. I think he only took 10 shots, had 24 points, got to the free throw line. He seemed to get wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted. And
took Jaden in transition that one time. Kind of just got rid of him in the lane. That was really nice.
What's daunting about San Antonio is not just Wemby, frankly, it's him. The idea of how young he is, further reason to want to try to petition to get to the Eastern Conference at some point very soon. Oklahoma City is waiting in the wings. They're going to have to wait like 2 weeks because they've swept both of their first 2 series, right? They are 8-0.
They sure have.
They took care of the injured, flawed Los Angeles Lakers of Anaheim last night. So they'll just be waiting in the wings. And the Wolves, I'm sure, will hope to upset the NBA, I guess, hierarchy, which is there'll be anger. Well, there will be celebration of their toughness if they find a way to do it, because I do think they're gaining fans around the country to that extent. This whole story, but people will be mad if they're not perceived as a team who might best threaten Oklahoma City in their attempts to win their second in a row. But, again, we've talked about this a lot. I don't know how long this is going to go, but what I love about even the Wemby controversy is exactly what I love and what I said about why I prefer best-of-7 series to best-of-1, even in the big dance. Because you never know what's coming. You couldn't have chronicled or predicted.
Exactly right.
Right? And then in game number 4, Wemby, considered to that extent rather mild-mannered, no history, ends up doing what he does.
I thought about it all night at Game 4.
And it leads to then, okay, should he get suspended? Should there be all these story angles that at least give us stuff to bounce off of and have fun with that are there? That's why best-of-7 series are so, I think, unique and attractive for shows like ours, because one story builds on another. And now, best of 3, who knows? There are people who expect San Antonio to win by 30 tonight. There really are. And there are people who expect Wemby to score 60 and bring down 20 rebounds and block 12 shots. That might well be the case. But I'll say what I said earlier. Anybody who goes with that's Wemby exacting revenge has kind of missed the thread and missed the boat, right? Because it's Naz Reid who should be exacting revenge. Wemby got thrown out of a game because of his own behavior, and the league spared him anything else. So if he's angry, it should be about letting down his own team, not that the league did.